What's going on, guys? My name is Ted, and I'm bringing you guys a review of the Samsung Galaxy Stellar today. This is a new phone that actually came out today, August 27th, 2012, obviously. And I really do like this phone. There's not very many phones that are mid-range phones, this being one of those mid-range phones that I really do like. And here's the deal, guys. It's back to school season. We all know that. Everyone's going back to college, going back to high school, going back to middle school, elementary school, maybe if you're buying a smartphone. Kids these days are crazy, so I'm sure elementary school kids have smartphones. But here's the deal. This is a very, very good smartphone for the price, for it being back to school. So everyone's rushing out getting their smartphones, me being one of them. I got my Galaxy S3, and I love that little baby. In fact, I'm recording with it right now. What you see is the front-facing camera of the Galaxy S3. But the Samsung Galaxy Stellar is a very good phone for the money. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the specs and why I like this phone so much. First of all, I like the price. $100, you can't go wrong. Let's get into the specs, though, of what makes this $100 phone worth the $100. First off, it's packing a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz processor, which is actually pretty good. Normally, you don't get a dual-core processor in a medium-range phone. Most phones of the higher level are dual-core processors. Now, granted, this isn't the best processor. I'm really not sure what type, but I know it's not a Snapdragon S4. So you're not getting the best processor, but it is still dual-core. So you can run a lot of applications at once and not really have too much trouble worrying about them. Also, at 1.2 gigahertz is actually a pretty good clock speed. So you're going to get a lot of processes at once. Say you want to run a bunch of apps at once, you're not going to have any trouble, and it's not going to force close a lot of those apps because you've got so much of a good processor speed in there. And that's actually really good for a mid-range phone. Next up, you got the 4G LTE network. This is a Verizon phone, so if you've got 4G LTE, you're never going to have that time where you just can't download a YouTube video. It's super fast internet. I'm jealous because I'm on T-Mobile, and I get HSDPA, which is just nothing compared to 4G LTE. And next, let's move on to the screen size. This is one of the parts that I'd consider the con of this phone because it's only got a 4-inch screen, and that is really mid-range. Like, I think that I consider anything 3.8-inch, 4-inch. I think it's all mid-range size of a screen. High-end being like a 4.3-inch Super AME LED or a 4.8-inch. But this is right there in the middle at 4 inches. And the screen resolution is also nothing to go home about. It's 800 pixels by 480 pixels. And although it's all right, I feel like it's one of the places where they really cut back the price on. They have to keep this phone at a very cheap price to make it that mid-range phone, and not including very many pixels at a pixel per inch ratio really cut down on the price, but also cuts down on that screen resolution. You want a really crisp screen. I feel like you're not going to get that with this phone. The final con to this phone is it has a 3.2-inch megapixel rear camera, and that's really not up to today's standards. I'd say even the mid-range phones today have about a 5 or 6 megapixel camera. Some of the higher-end ones are going to have an 8 megapixel camera. But 3.2 megapixel camera without even having a front-facing camera is really, really pathetic. I really don't like that. It records in 720p HD, which is definitely a plus, but 3.2 megapixels, you're just not going to get a very clear photo. As far as the good things about this phone is definitely the price, definitely the dual-core processor inside. That's awesome. And as far as the price goes, it's $100 for a 2-year contract, but if you don't want a contract, it's only $450. So that's kind of expensive, but if you don't want to be tied to one certain network, you can just buy the phone off contract and just go with whatever network you want to go with. As far as back-to-school phones, this is definitely a good one. And if you're just brand new to Android, this one actually has a start mode for brand new Android users. So say you know nothing about Android phones, you've probably never been to my channel before, if so, because all I talk about is Android phones. But if you don't know anything about smartphones or Android phones in general, this one actually has a startup mode for people like that because it'll walk you through step-by-step on all those different screens how to use your phone, and that's pretty cool if you're new. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to Android Products. It's my channel. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe because I post a lot of Android-related product news, also updates and reviews and modifications, all kind of cool stuff. So if you're into Android, be sure to subscribe. Other than that, guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.